My wife served me divorce papers at my own retirement party while my children cheered best day ever. That's when I learned what betrayal really looked like. I'm Cooper Stone, and for 36 years I'd kept the machines running at Peterson Manufacturing in Milwaukee. 36 years I'd worked overtime to keep their production lines moving. And tonight, in front of everyone who respected my work, my own family celebrated destroying me. My wife Madison thought she was taking half of nothing. My son Hunter believed he was watching a failure finally get what he deserved. My daughter Brooke saw her chance to escape the embarrassment of having a blue-collar father. But here's what they didn't know. While they'd been planning my destruction, I'd been building an empire. I smiled, signed those papers, and opened my briefcase full of property deeds. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Because tonight, you're going to learn what happens when quiet people decide they're done being quiet. Let me take you back to understand how we got here. For 36 years, I maintained industrial equipment at Peterson Manufacturing. Rain, snow, ice storms, I kept the factory running. But somewhere along the way, my family decided that made me a disappointment. It started small. Madison would introduce me at neighborhood gatherings as my husband. He works at the factory. Never he's a senior maintenance supervisor or he keeps the production lines running. Just works at the factory. Like I swept floors in some forgotten corner. The kids picked up on it. Hunter, now 29 and in law school, learned early to be vague about my job. When his friends' parents asked what I did, he'd say Dad's in manufacturing. Never proud, never specific, just manufacturing. Brooke was worse. At 26, fresh out of her marketing degree program, she'd perfected the art of changing subjects when anyone asked about family. I overheard her once at a coffee shop with friends. "Your dad sounds amazing," one said about another girl's father who ran a consulting firm. "What does your dad do, Brooke?" "Oh, he's between things right now." Between things. I'd worked the same job for 36 years. But it was the little moments that really showed me where I stood. Like when Hunter needed money for law school applications. $4,500 for fees, tests, everything. He asked me for it like I should be grateful he'd even considered me capable of having it. "Dad, I know you probably don't have this kind of money lying around, but..." I'd written the check without hesitation. That was 20 months ago. He'd never asked how I had it so easily available, or when Brooke needed a co-signer for her student loans. The bank required someone with stable income and good credit. She came to me last, after trying her mother's brother and 2 family friends first. "Dad, I hate to ask, but you're literally my only option. My only value was being the last resort." The worst part was watching Madison feed this narrative. At dinner parties, she'd laugh about my simple needs, how I was happy with my work boots and Carhartt jackets, how I didn't need much to be content. "Cooper's not complicated," she'd say. "Give him his tools and his TV and he's fine," like I was some kind of pet. She'd complain to her sister about my lack of ambition. I heard the phone calls. He could have gone to technical college, become an engineering consultant, made real money. But he was too comfortable just being an employee. What she didn't know was that I'd been using that employee income very carefully. While she spent money at Target and took the kids to expensive restaurants, I'd been learning about real estate. While she bought new furniture and planned vacation trips, I'd been studying property values and rental markets. Every overtime shift, every weekend emergency call, every holiday I worked while they stayed home warm and safe, that money had a purpose. My first property was a small duplex in West Milwaukee. Bought it in 2005 when prices were reasonable. $18,000 down, fixed it up myself on weekends. Within 6 months, I had reliable tenants paying me $1,400 a month, more than enough to cover the mortgage. But I never mentioned it. Madison would have found reasons we needed that money for other things. The kids would have seen it as proof they deserved more spending money, so I kept quiet and kept buying. Property 2 came in 2007, a single-family rental in Wauwatosa. Then a triplex in Bayview in 2009, a small apartment building in Riverwest in 2011. Each one carefully selected, each one generating positive cash flow, each one completely invisible to my family. They saw me come home dirty, exhausted, and assumed that meant unsuccessful. They never wondered why I wasn't stressed about money, never questioned how we always seemed to have what we needed, even on my supposedly limited salary. The disrespect became routine. Hunter would borrow $300 here, $600 there, always with the same tone, like he was doing me a favor by giving me the chance to help him. Brooke treated family dinners like charity work. She'd show up, eat her meal, and scroll through her phone. When I'd try to talk about work, she'd give me the same polite smile she'd give a stranger making small talk in an elevator. And Madison. She'd started looking at me like I was a problem that needed solving, like my presence in her life was holding her back from something better. I began staying late at the factory, not because the work required it, but because home felt like a courtroom where I was permanently on trial for the crime of being ordinary. But here's the thing about ordinary people. We notice things, we listen, we remember, and we plan. By the summer of 2022, I could feel the marriage ending. Madison had started working out at LA Fitness. New clothes, new haircuts, coming home energized in ways that had nothing to do with exercise equipment. The signs weren't subtle. Text messages she'd hide when I walked into the room. Phone calls she'd take outside in the backyard, suddenly needing to run errands that took 3 hours to complete. I could have confronted her, could have demanded to know what was happening. But I'd learned something over the years. Information's more valuable than confrontation. So I watched. I listened. I waited. The first concrete evidence came in August. A charge on our credit card for dinner at Bartolotta's, the expensive restaurant downtown. $94 for 2 people. Problem was, she told me she was having dinner with her sister that night. Her sister, who was diabetic and hadn't eaten at a restaurant in 2 years. Then came the gym membership upgrade from a basic $25 a month plan to a premium $75 package that included personal training sessions with someone named Mason Reed. I didn't need to be a detective to connect the dots, but the financial infidelity was just the beginning. Madison started talking about our future differently. Suggestions about selling the house, maybe getting something smaller, comments about how we were carrying too much debt for people our age. That's when I realized what was happening. She wasn't just planning to leave. She was planning to take half of everything she thought we had. The irony was staggering. While she was worried about our supposed debt, I was generating $9,800 a month in rental income. While she stressed about the mortgage on our house, I owned 8 other properties free and clear. While she feared we couldn't afford retirement, I had enough passive income to retire tomorrow. But if I stayed silent, if I let this play out the way she was planning, I'd lose everything. Wisconsin is a no-fault divorce state, which means the court doesn't care why marriages end. They just divide assets 50-50. The house we'd lived in for 22 years, half to her. My retirement account from 36 years of work, half to her. The savings account she thought was our only nest egg, half to her. But here's where her plan had a fatal flaw. She didn't know about the real estate portfolio. Every property was purchased in my name only, using income she'd never tracked during years when she'd paid no attention to our finances beyond her weekly target runs. Legally, those properties were mine. Morally, well, that depends on how you feel about someone who spends 36 years planning to abandon their marriage the moment it becomes convenient. The kids were part of the plan, too. Hunter had started making comments about how dad's getting older and how maybe it's time for mom to think about her own happiness. Brooke posted pictures on social media from expensive restaurants and weekend trips that I wasn't included in. Family events where I was either not invited or made to feel like an unwelcome guest. They were already practicing life without me. The breaking point came in early September. Hunter called to ask if he could borrow $6,000 for law school expenses. When I asked for specifics, he got irritated. "Dad, I don't need to justify every expense to you. It's for school." Okay. 2 days later, Brooke called with a similar request. $4,200 for her marketing certification program. They weren't asking their father for help. They were withdrawing money from what they saw as a joint account they'd be managing soon anyway. That's when I knew I had to act, because if I let this continue, I wouldn't just lose my marriage, I'd lose my self-respect. The confrontation started over dinner on a Tuesday evening in early September. Nothing special, just the 4 of us around the kitchen table like we'd done thousands of times before. But the undercurrent had changed. Everyone knew something was coming. Madison had made her special pot roast, the one she only cooked when she felt guilty about something. Hunter was home from law school for a long weekend. Brooke had driven over from her apartment in 3rd Ward. "This is nice," Madison said, cutting her meat with more precision than necessary. having everyone together. Yeah, Hunter agreed. We should do this more often, while we still can. The phrasing was deliberate. While we still can. Like our family had an expiration date everyone knew about except me. I set down my fork. Something on your mind, Hunter? He exchanged glances with his mother. Dad, we've been talking about your future. About Mom's future. Our future? Madison corrected quickly. Right. Your future together. I waited. Let them fill the silence. Brooke jumped in. Dad, you've worked so hard for so many years. Maybe it's time to think about what comes next. What comes next is retirement in 3 weeks. Right. But after that, Hunter continued, you and Mom might want different things. That's normal. People grow apart. People grow apart, I repeated. Or people make choices. Madison's fork clinked against her plate. Cooper, what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just thinking out loud. Hunter leaned forward. Dad, can I be honest with you? I hope so. You've been different lately. Distant, like you're angry about something. I almost laughed. Angry? Yeah, like you resent us for some reason. For what reason would I resent you, Hunter? He looked at his mother again. Maybe because you feel like you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve and you're taking it out on the family. The audacity was breathtaking. My son, who'd never worked a day in his life, questioning my achievements. What did I want to achieve exactly? Brooke answered. Dad, you know what we mean. Most people your age have more to show for their careers. More to show? Like what? Like ownership of something, a business, real assets. I nodded slowly. Real assets. You've been an employee your whole life, Hunter said. There's nothing wrong with that, but what? Madison finally spoke up. But it limits options, Cooper, for both of us. What options are you looking for, Madison? The use of her full name caught her attention. I only called her Madison when I was serious. I'm just saying that maybe we both deserve a chance to explore what we want in our next chapter. Next chapter? Without each other? That's not what I said, but it's what you meant. The table went quiet. Hunter cleared his throat. Dad, if you and Mom did decide to restructure things, we'd understand. Restructure things. Yeah. Like financially. The house, the savings, all that. I looked around the table at my wife of 36 years. At my son who'd borrowed thousands from me without ever asking where I got it. At my daughter who was embarrassed to tell people what I did for work. You've given this a lot of thought, I said. We just want everyone to be happy, Brooke said. Everyone to be happy. I stood up from the table. That's interesting. Where are you going? Madison asked. To the garage. Got some thinking to do. Dad, Hunter called after me, we're just trying to help. I paused at the doorway. Hunter, let me ask you something. When you needed money for law school, where did you think it came from? What do you mean? $4,500 for applications. $6,000 for expenses. Where did you think I got that money? Your salary. My salary that you just said wasn't enough to build anything meaningful. He didn't answer. Brooke, same question. When you needed a co-signer for $35,000 in student loans, what made you think I'd qualify? Dad, I don't understand what you're getting at. I'm getting at the fact that none of you have ever asked me what I do with my money. You just assume I don't have any. Cooper, Madison said carefully, what are you trying to say? I smiled. I'm saying that maybe you should be more curious about the man you're planning to divorce. The word hung in the air like a challenge. Who said anything about divorce? Madison asked. Madison, you've been planning this for months. That's ridiculous. Is Mason Reed ridiculous too? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know, but I wasn't done, not even close. The next morning, Madison was gone before I woke up. Early shift at the agency, her note said. Funny thing was, she didn't work mornings. I made my coffee and sat in the kitchen thinking about the conversation the night before. They'd shown their cards too early, revealed the plan before they understood what they were playing against. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Mr. Stone, this is Sidney Clark from Premier Property Management. We have an issue with the Wauwatosa duplex. Tenant in Unit A reporting a water heater problem. Can you call when you get a chance? I deleted the message quickly. Madison sometimes checked my phone when she thought I wasn't looking. But the call reminded me of something important. My properties weren't just numbers in a bank account. They were real places where real people lived. People who depended on me to be responsible, reliable, available. Unlike my family, my tenants respected what I provided. 20 minutes later, another call. This one from my tenant in the River West building. Mr. Stone, it's Patricia from apartment 3B. The couple in 2A wants to renew their lease early. They're offering an extra $75 a month if they can lock in for 2 years. An extra $75 a month for 2 years. Tell an $800 in additional revenue because people wanted the security of staying in a place I'd made comfortable for them. I told Patricia I'd think about it and call her back. As I was finishing breakfast, Hunter appeared in the kitchen, hair messy, still in yesterday's clothes. Law school was clearly teaching him excellent life management skills. Dad, about last night. What about it? Maybe we came on too strong. Mom's been stressed about money lately. Money stress, I said. Interesting. She thinks we're carrying too much debt. I almost choked on my coffee. What debt? The mortgage, credit cards, you know. Hunter, we have one credit card and we pay it off every month. Really? Really? Your mother never mentioned that? He looked confused. She said you guys were struggling to keep up with expenses. What expenses? I don't know. House stuff, utilities, normal stuff. I set down my coffee mug. Hunter, what do you think I make at my job? I never really thought about it. Guess. Dad, I don't want to guess. He shifted uncomfortably. Maybe $50,000? $55,000? I nodded. $55,000 for maintaining industrial equipment for 36 years. Right. You think that's a reasonable salary? I mean, it's decent for that type of work. That type of work. Dad, I didn't mean... Hunter, do you know what senior maintenance supervisors make? He shook his head. Base salary for Peterson Manufacturing is $85,000. With overtime, holiday pay, emergency calls, I averaged $108,000 last year. His mouth opened slightly. And that's just the day job. What do you mean, just the day job? My phone rang before I could answer. The caller ID showed Stone Properties, LLC. Excuse me, I told Hunter and answered the phone. Mr. Stone, this is Garrett from Property Solutions. We finished the inspection on the Bayview triplex. Looks good for the refinance. Should have the paperwork ready by Friday. Sounds good, Garrett. Send it to my office email. Will do. And congratulations on the River West building. Heard you got it fully leased ahead of schedule. Thanks. The location helped. Location always helps. Talk to you Friday. I hung up. Hunter was staring at me. Dad, what was that about? Business call. What business? I smiled. Nothing you'd be interested in, just some investments I've been working on. Investments? Small stuff. Nothing complicated. But Hunter was connecting dots now. The money I'd had available for his school expenses. The cosigner application that got approved instantly. The fact that I'd never seemed stressed about finances even when he assumed we should be. Dad, how many properties do you own? Properties? That call was about properties. I finished my coffee and stood up. Hunter, your mother's been telling you I'm a failure, hasn't she? No, she just what? She thinks you could have done more with your life. I nodded. More with my life. Maybe she's right. Dad, maybe it's time to start doing more. I left him standing in the kitchen, probably calling his mother before I reached the garage, which was exactly what I wanted him to do. The weeks leading up to my retirement party were a careful dance. Madison threw herself into planning the event with unusual enthusiasm. She rented the Eagles Club on North Avenue, ordered catering, made a guest list that included people I hadn't seen in years. I want this to be special, she kept saying. You deserve a proper send-off after 36 years. At the time, I thought she was being thoughtful. Looking back, I realized she was setting the stage for maximum impact. The bigger the audience, the more humiliating the divorce announcement would be. But two could play that game. I started preparing my own surprise. 3 weeks before the party, I called Harper Lane, the attorney who'd helped me set up my property LLC years ago. Harper, I need you to prepare something for me. Documentation of all my real estate holdings, property deeds, rental agreements, financial statements, everything. Are you selling, Cooper? No, but I might need to prove ownership soon. Marital issues, something like that. I also made some strategic calls to my property managers. I want full occupancy reports ready by the end of September. Every property, every tenant, every lease agreement. Planning something big, Mr. Stone? Sidney Clark asked. You could say that. The final touch was getting business cards printed. Simple white cards with black lettering. Cooper Stone, Stone Properties LLC. I'd never bothered with business cards before. My tenants knew how to reach me, and that was enough. But for what I had planned, I wanted something tangible to hand out. September 28th, 2023 arrived with perfect autumn weather. The Eagles Club looked great. Madison had done an excellent job with the decorations. Photos from my career at Peterson, a timeline of my service, even a display of safety awards I'd received over the years. The hall was packed, 140 people, maybe more. Co-workers from Peterson going back 20 years, union representatives, neighbors, extended family. Even some of my tenants showed up, which surprised me. I'd never told them about the party. Mr. Stone treats us like family, said Patricia, who lived in my duplex with her daughter. When the furnace went out last winter, he had someone there fixing it within 3 hours on New Year's Eve. Another tenant, Miguel from the Wauwatosa property, shook my hand. Best landlord I ever had. Fair rent, quick repairs, treats us with respect. I appreciated their words more than they knew. These people understood value. They recognized quality when they saw it. The party started well. My supervisor, Brady Coleman, gave a speech about my safety record. 36 years, 0 serious accidents. Cooper Stone is the guy you want on your crew when everything breaks down, he said. Reliable as sunrise. People laughed, applauded, told stories about emergency calls we'd worked together. The equipment failures of 2018, the power outage of 2020, times when the factory needed production restored, and we'd made it happen. I felt appreciated, valued. For the first time in months, I remembered why I'd been proud of my work. Hunter and Brooks stood near the back, checking their phones. Madison mingled with the crowd, playing the role of proud wife perfectly. She'd even made a scrapbook of photos from my career, pictures of me in my hard hat at the factory, receiving safety awards, fixing critical equipment. Madison put this together herself, people kept saying. You're lucky to have someone who appreciates what you do. If only they knew. The cake cutting went normally, standard retirement party stuff. People making jokes about me having too much free time, asking what I planned to do with myself. I kept my answers vague. Might do some traveling, work on some projects. My union representative, Nolan Pierce, clapped me on the back. Cooper, you've earned this. 36 years of solid work. Enjoy every minute of retirement. I smiled and nodded, feeling the weight of the envelope in my jacket pocket. The property documentation Harper had prepared, the business cards in my other pocket. The plan I'd been perfecting for weeks. That's when Madison stood up to make her speech. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, she began. Cooper has worked so hard for so many years, he deserves to be celebrated. Applause, smiles, everyone thinking this was a normal, loving tribute. Marriage isn't easy when your husband works the kind of demanding job Cooper works. There were nights I didn't know if he'd make it home safe. Days when the equipment was dangerous and I worried about him at the factory. More nods of understanding. Spouses of other maintenance workers knew exactly what she meant. But Cooper always came home. He always provided. He always put his family first. The past tense wasn't accidental. I caught it even if nobody else did. Which is why, she continued, this felt like the right time to make an announcement. The room went quiet. This wasn't on the program. After 36 years of Cooper putting his work ahead of everything else, I think it's time for both of us to start new chapters. People looked confused. Start new chapters? We were supposed to start new chapters together. Madison reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. Cooper, you've worked so hard for so long. You deserve freedom. Real freedom. She handed me the envelope. These are divorce papers. I filed them yesterday. The silence was deafening. 140 people watched me open that envelope and find 16 pages of legal documents requesting dissolution of our marriage. But here's the thing nobody expected. I smiled. Not the smile of someone pretending to be okay. the smile of someone who'd been waiting for this moment. "Thank you, Madison," I said calmly. "This is very thoughtful." People didn't know how to react. Was this planned? Were we both okay with this? Hunter stepped forward. "Dad, Mom told us this was happening. We support this decision. We think it's for the best," Brooke added, "for both of you." And then Hunter said the words that sealed their fate. "Honestly, Dad, this might be the best day ever," Brooke laughed. "Finally, right? Finally, like my marriage ending was a relief they'd been waiting years to celebrate." The crowd was stunned. People who'd known our family for decades watched my children celebrate their parents' divorce at my retirement party. "Kids," Brady Coleman said carefully, "maybe this isn't the time or place." "No, it's perfect," Madison interrupted. "Cooper deserves honesty. We all do." I stood up, still holding the divorce papers. The room was dead silent. "Madison, this is definitely honest," I said. "Very honest. I hope you understand, Cooper. This isn't about failure. It's about accepting reality." "Reality?" I repeated. "Yes, let's definitely talk about reality." I folded the papers neatly and put them in my jacket pocket. Since we're being honest in front of all these people, maybe I should be honest too. Madison's confidence flickered. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe it's time everyone understood what they're really celebrating here." Hunter looked nervous. "Dad, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that your mother has been having an affair with her personal trainer for 9 months. Gasps around the room. Madison went pale. "I'm talking about the fact that you both have been planning this divorce for months, thinking you were going to get half of what you assumed I had." "Cooper," Madison warned. Don't what? Don't tell the truth at my own retirement party?" I looked around the room. All these people who'd come to honor my 36 years of service, now witnessing the complete collapse of my family relationships. The truth is, Madison filed those papers because she thinks I'm a failure who never achieved anything meaningful. "That's not true," Hunter started. "The truth is my children are celebrating because they're embarrassed by what their father does for a living." My phone buzzed. Text message. I glanced at it and smiled. Actually, the timing on this is perfect. I just got a text from my property manager. The River West building is officially fully leased. That's building number 8, in case anyone's keeping track. The confusion in the room was palpable. "Building number 8? Brady Coleman asked. "Yeah, the apartment building I bought last year. Goes with the 7 other rental properties I've acquired over the past 18 years. Dead silence. "Cooper," Madison whispered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that while you've been planning to divorce me for half of nothing, I've been generating about $9,800 a month in rental income." Hunter's face went white. Brooke grabbed the back of a chair for support. "I'm saying that your failed husband owns $1.6 million in real estate assets." The room erupted. People started talking all at once. Union representatives who knew my salary were doing math in their heads. Neighbors who'd assumed we were just getting by were recalculating everything they thought they knew about our family. But I wasn't done. Not even close. The chaos in the room was immediate. People talking over each other, asking questions, trying to process what they'd just heard. But all I could focus on was the look on Madison's face. Pure, undiluted shock. "That's impossible," she said quietly. "We don't have that kind of money." "You don't," I corrected. "I do." Brady Coleman stepped forward. "Cooper, are you serious? 8 properties? Started with a duplex in West Milwaukee in 2005. Added 1 or 2 a year since then." "How?" Hunter demanded. "How did you afford—" "Overtime," I said simply. "Emergency calls, holiday pay, every extra shift I worked while you were all at home complaining about me never being around. That money went into real estate." My union representative, Nolan Pierce, was grinning. "Cooper, you magnificent bastard. You've been building an empire while we all thought you were just fixing machines." "I was fixing machines," I said. "That was my day job," Brooke found her voice. "Dad, why didn't you tell us?" "Tell you what? That I was investing money? When would that conversation have happened? Between you telling people I was between things and Hunter explaining I was just in manufacturing." People were pulling out phones, probably texting family members about the drama they were witnessing. The retirement party had turned into the most entertaining evening the Eagles Club had seen in decades. "Cooper," Madison said, trying to regain control, "we need to talk privately." "No," I said firmly. "We're done talking privately. 36 years of private conversations got us here. Let's try public honesty for a change." My phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. Westbrook Property Management. "Excuse me," I said to the crowd and answered it. "Mr. Stone, it's Kyle. Sorry to bother you, but we just got an offer on the Wauwatosa duplex. Cash buyer, asking price, wants to close in 30 days. "How much?" I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. $275,000. You paid $210,000 for it 4 years ago. $65,000 profit in 4 years. That's right. Should I accept? I looked around the room. 140 people hanging on every word. "Let me think about it," I said. "I'll call you tomorrow." "Sounds good. And Mr. Stone, congratulations on your retirement. You've built something really impressive." I hung up and smiled at Madison. "Real estate appreciates," I explained, "unlike some other investments I've made." The dig wasn't subtle and everyone caught it. Nolan Pierce was shaking his head in amazement. "Cooper, what's the total monthly income?" $9,800 every month. That's more than most people make in a year. "It's more than I made in a year when I started at Peterson," someone called out. "That's right," I agreed. Hunter was doing math on his phone. "Dad, that's $117,600 a year in passive income." "That's right. But you still worked your regular job?" "I liked my regular job. And the regular job provided the down payments for the properties." Brady Coleman was laughing now. "Cooper, you could have retired 10 years ago. I could have, but I wanted to hit my 36-year mark. Full pension, full benefits. Why leave money on the table?" Madison was starting to realize the implications. "Cooper, these properties, are they in your name?" "They're in my name." "All of them?" "All of them?" "All of them. Purchased with income you never tracked during years when you never asked about our finances." The legal implications were sinking in. In Wisconsin, property acquired with separate funds during marriage can remain separate property. Madison's divorce papers were asking for half of assets she didn't know existed and couldn't legally claim. "Mr. Stone," said a voice from the crowd, "I'm Harper Lane, attorney at law. I was your neighbor's guest tonight, but I have to ask, are these properties community property?" "No," I said. "They're mine. Purchased with my individual earnings, titled in my name only, managed through my business accounts." "Then," Harper Lane said carefully, "Mrs. Stone's divorce filing. Mrs. Stone's divorce filing asks for half of the house we live in and half of the savings account she knows about. She can have both." I pulled out my phone and showed the crowd my banking app. The savings account she's asking for half of has $9,200 in it. People started laughing. Madison was asking for half of $9,000 while standing next to a man worth over $1.6 million. "The house is worth about $290,000, I continued. "Minus the mortgage, that's about $48,000 in equity. She can have my half too." "So she gets $52,600 total?" Hunter asked. "She gets $52,600 plus whatever Mason Reed has in his savings account." The mention of Mason's name sent another wave of murmurs through the crowd. Brooke was crying now. "Dad, we didn't know. We had no idea." "Brooke, you never asked. None of you ever asked." Hunter stepped forward. "Dad, I'm sorry. We all are. Can we fix this?" I looked at my son, 29 years old, in law school, about to graduate with massive debt and no financial plan beyond hoping his parents would help him. "Hunter, do you remember what you said 15 minutes ago about this being the best day ever?" He nodded, ashamed. "Did you mean that?" "Dad, I was upset. I was confused about Mom. Did you mean that?" "No." I turned to Brooke. "What about you? Did you mean it when you said finally?" She couldn't answer. I looked around the room. All these people who'd come to celebrate my career, now witnessing the complete collapse of my family relationships. "The truth is," I said to the crowd, "I've spent 36 years providing for people who never respected what I provided. I've given everything to a family that saw me as an obligation." I pulled the divorce papers out of my pocket. "Madison, These papers ask for a divorce. You'll get a divorce. They ask for half of our assets. You'll get half of the assets you knew about. I signed the papers in front of everyone, but the assets you didn't know about, the ones I built while you were embarrassed by my work, those stay with me. I handed the signed papers back to her. Congratulations on your new freedom. The room was dead silent. Now, I said to the crowd, who wants cake? The party ended quietly after that. People filtered out in small groups, talking in hushed voices about what they'd witnessed. Some stopped to shake my hand, tell me they were proud of what I'd built. Others just nodded respectfully and headed for the door. My tenant Patricia came up to me before leaving. Mr. Stone, I don't know what just happened with your family, but I want you to know, you're a good man. You've always treated us fairly. Miguel nodded in agreement. Best landlord in Milwaukee. Whatever happens, you should be proud. Their words meant more to me than any applause from the crowd. These people understood value because they experienced it directly. Madison left without saying goodbye. Hunter and Brooke lingered near the back, clearly wanting to talk but not knowing what to say. I was stacking chairs when my phone rang. Harper Lane. Cooper, I just got a very frantic call from someone claiming to be your wife's divorce lawyer. Is it true you revealed substantial hidden assets at a public gathering tonight? Nothing was hidden, Harper, just never discussed. Cooper, we need to meet first thing tomorrow morning. This changes everything. It changes everything for Madison. Changes nothing for me. It changes everything for you too. Property division, spousal support, the whole case. I finished stacking the last chair. Harper, every property is in my name, purchased with my individual earnings, managed through separate business accounts. Wisconsin is an equitable distribution state, but these aren't marital assets. You're absolutely right, but we need to document everything properly. Already done. I've been documenting everything for 18 years. Hunter appeared beside me. Dad, can we talk? I told Harper I'd see her in the morning and hung up. Talk, I said. Dad, we messed up. Really messed up. You did. Is there a way to fix this? I looked at my son. Really looked at him. 29 years old, smart enough to get into law school, stupid enough to celebrate his parents' divorce in public. Hunter, what do you want to fix? Our relationship. The family. What relationship? You mean the one where you borrow money from me without asking where I get it? Where you're embarrassed to tell people what I do for work? Dad, I was wrong about that. You were wrong about a lot of things. Brooke joined us, eyes red from crying, mascara smeared. Daddy, she said, using the name she hadn't called me in 12 years. I'm so sorry. Sorry about what specifically? About not appreciating you, about being embarrassed, about everything. I nodded. Brooke, do you remember when you needed a co-signer for your student loans? Yes. You tried 3 other people first. Yes. Why? Because I thought you might not qualify. Because you thought I was poor. I thought we were all poor. No, Brooke. You thought I was poor. Your mother manages the household finances. You knew exactly how much money was coming in and going out. You just assumed I wasn't contributing much. She didn't deny it. Hunter, same question. When you needed money for law school, why did you phrase it like you were doing me a favor by asking? I don't know. You do know. Tell me. I guess I thought you'd feel useful. Like you were finally helping with something important. Something important, as opposed to keeping Peterson Manufacturing running for 36 years. He looked down. Dad, I know how that sounds now. How it sounds now, Hunter? It sounded the same way then. You just didn't care how it sounded. I pulled out my phone and opened my contact list. I'm going to make some calls, I told them. Legal calls, financial calls, practical calls about what happens next. What does happen next? Brooke asked. Next, your mother gets exactly what she asked for, a divorce from a man she considered a failure. But you're not a failure. I know that. The question is, what are you going to do with that information? Hunter straightened up. Dad, what can we do? How can we prove we understand now? I considered the question. Hunter, you're in law school. How much debt do you have? About $195,000. How much do you need for your final year? $95,000. Tuition, living expenses, everything. Brooke, you want to start a business. What kind of business? A digital marketing consultancy for small businesses. How much do you need? $75,000 for the first year. Equipment, software licenses, office space. I nodded. So, between the two of you, you need $170,000. They exchanged hopeful glances. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Your mother is going to discover that divorce is expensive. Her lawyer is going to demand documentation of all our assets. When she finds out about the properties, she's going to realize she made a very, very costly mistake. Will she get any of the rental income? Hunter asked. Not a penny, but she will get her half of the house equity and the savings account, about $52,600 total. That's not much to start over with, Brooke said. It's what she chose. I put my phone away and looked at both of them. You each asked me for help with money. Big money. Money I had and you needed. They nodded. But you asked like I should be grateful you were giving me the opportunity to help. Like providing for my children was a privilege you were generously offering me. Dad, I'm not finished. You want to fix our relationship? Here's how that works. Respect is earned through actions, not demanded through blood relation. You want my help? Show me you understand what help means. How? Hunter asked. Figure that out yourself. You're both smart, educated adults. If you can't figure out how to earn your father's respect, maybe you don't deserve his money. I headed toward the exit. Dad, wait, Brooke called. Are you saying you won't help us? I turned back. I'm saying help is something you ask for from people you respect, not something you demand from people you're embarrassed by. And with that, I left them standing in the empty Eagles Club, finally understanding what they'd lost. The next 4 months played out exactly as I'd predicted. Madison's divorce lawyer, Wyatt Brooks, demanded full financial disclosure. When I provided documentation of my 8 properties, his confidence evaporated faster than morning frost. Mr. Stone, he said during our first mediation session, this portfolio is substantial. My client was unaware of these assets. Your client never asked about these assets, my attorney, Harper Lane, replied. In 18 years of marriage to a man who worked overtime regularly, she never once questioned where that money went. The math was simple. Under Wisconsin law, Madison could claim half of any assets acquired during marriage with marital funds, but every property was purchased with my individual earnings, titled in my name, and managed through separate business accounts I'd maintained since 2005. These are clearly separate assets, Harper explained. Mr. Stone can demonstrate that every down payment, every repair, every improvement was funded through his individual labor. Madison sat across the table looking like she'd been hit with a wrench. Cooper, this isn't fair. We were married. I supported your career. Madison, you were embarrassed by my career. There's a difference. The final divorce settlement was signed in January 2024. Madison received her half of the house equity, $24,000 after closing costs. She also got half of our savings account, $4,600, and the 2019 Honda Accord. Total settlement, $28,600. She moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in West Allis. Mason Reed, her personal trainer boyfriend, ended their relationship 2 weeks after the property revelations. Apparently, dating a soon-to-be divorcee with no money wasn't as appealing as dating a woman he thought had assets. The social consequences were swift and predictable. Our neighborhood, where Madison had spent years positioning herself as the long-suffering wife of an unambitious man, suddenly understood the truth. She'd left a millionaire for a gym trainer who made $32,000 a year. She was always talking about Cooper's lack of drive, our neighbor Susan told me at the grocery store. Now we know who really lacked drive. Madison's sister stopped talking to her. Her book club found reasons to meet without her. The narrative she'd built about being held back by her husband's mediocrity crumbled when everyone realized she'd been living off his success while publicly diminishing it. Meanwhile, Hunter's financial reality hit hard. Law school tuition for his final year came due in February, $95,000. He'd been counting on family support that no longer existed. His first call came 5 days after New Year's. Dad, I need to talk to you. About what? About school. About money. What about it? I can't afford final year tuition. The loans I qualified for only cover $65,000. That's unfortunate. Dad, I know I messed up. I know we all messed up, but I'm $30,000 short, and if I don't pay by February 15th, I'll have to take a leave of absence. Hunter, what do you want from me? I want to borrow $30,000. Borrow implies you plan to pay it back. When would that happen? After you pass the bar? After you find a job? So 4 years from now? Maybe 5? I let the silence stretch. Dad, are you still there? I'm here. Just thinking about something you said at the retirement party. What? You said divorcing your mother might be the best day ever. Dad, I explained that. I was confused. Hunter, I don't loan money to people who think my personal disasters are the best days ever. That's not fair. Fair? You celebrated your parents' divorce in public at my retirement party. You think fair is relevant now? He hung up. Brooke's crisis came 3 weeks later. Her business loan application was rejected. $75,000 for a digital marketing startup. Without a co-signer, the bank wouldn't approve it. Dad, I know you're angry with us, but this is my dream. Brooke, what makes you think your dream is my responsibility? Because you're my father. Being your father didn't stop you from being embarrassed by my work. I was young, I was stupid. You were 26, that's not young. It's educated adult. Dad, please, I'll pay you back. I'll pay interest, whatever you want. What I want is a family that respects me. What I have is a family that wants my money. It's not about the money. Brooke, it's entirely about the money. 8 months ago, you couldn't be bothered to mention my job to your friends. Today, you're calling me for $75,000. What changed? I changed. We all changed. No, you didn't change. Your circumstances changed. There's a difference. The third call came from Madison herself in February. Cooper, we need to talk. No, we don't. The kids are struggling financially. The kids are adults. Hunter might have to drop out of law school. Hunter should have thought about that before he celebrated our divorce. Cooper, please. I know I made mistakes, but don't punish the children for my choices. Madison, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not rescuing anyone either. They're your children. They're adults who made their feelings about me very clear. They were protecting me. They thought I was unhappy. Were you unhappy? Yes. Then you got what you wanted. Everyone got what they wanted. Cooper, I realize now that I made a mistake. A huge mistake. You realize that when you saw the property portfolio. That's not true. Madison, you filed for divorce after 9 months of cheating with Mason Reed. You didn't realize anything. You got caught. She tried a different approach. What if we went to counseling? What if we tried to work things out? Madison, you're divorced. You can't work out a divorce. We could remarry. The audacity was staggering. You want to remarry me for my money? I want to remarry you because I love you. You love my money. There's a difference. Cooper, please. The kids need help. The kids need to understand that actions have consequences. They chose their side. Now they live with it. By March, both Hunter and Brooke were working retail jobs to pay their bills. Hunter took a leave of absence from law school. Brooke moved back in with Madison to split the rent on the one-bedroom apartment. The family that had celebrated my failure was learning what actual failure looked like, and I was finally at peace. 8 months after the divorce, I was sitting on my back deck reviewing rental income statements and planning improvements for the River West building. $9,800 had been deposited into my business account that morning. Same amount as every month for the past 4 years. The phone rang. Hunter, Dad, can I come over? I want to talk to you. About what? About understanding. An hour later, he knocked on my front door. He looked different, older, tired. The law school confidence had been replaced with something more realistic. Dad, I got a job at Home Depot. 40 hours a week, $16 an hour. That's honest work. It is. And you know what I realized? What? People respect honest work. My supervisor treats me better than I ever treated you. I nodded. People respect what they understand. Dad, I want to earn your respect back, not your money, your respect. How? I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out. 3 weeks later, Brooke called. Dad, I'm working at a marketing firm downtown. Entry level, but it's in my field. How's it going? It's hard. The money's not great, but I like earning it myself. Earning money feels different than borrowing it. It does. Dad, are you calling to ask for something? No, I'm calling to say thank you. For what? For teaching us what we should have learned years ago. What did you learn? That respect isn't something you inherit. It's something you earn. 2 months later, Hunter started taking evening classes to become an electrician. I want to learn a trade, he said. Something real, something useful. Today, he works for a different company than Peterson, but he's in the electrical field. He makes $82,000 a year and loves it. He understands now what I understood for 36 years. There's dignity in keeping things running. Brooke opened her fitness studio 8 months later, not with my money, but with a business loan she qualified for based on her own earnings and business plan. She's successful because she earned it. Her marketing firm promoted her twice in the first year. She moved into her own apartment. She learned to budget, to save, to plan for the future. Madison is still in West Dallas, still working part-time, still wondering what went wrong. She calls sometimes, usually when she's had too much wine and feels nostalgic. I don't answer. The rental income keeps coming. The properties keep appreciating. My retirement is everything I planned it to be. Comfortable, secure, peaceful. But the best part isn't the money. The best part is the phone call I got last month from Hunter. Dad, I want you to meet someone. Someone? Her name's Sarah. She's a nurse. I've been seeing her for 6 months. That's nice, Hunter. Dad, I told her what I do for work. I told her about you, about what you built, about how I treated you. What did she say? She said any woman would be lucky to marry into a family of men who know how to work with their hands. I smiled. Smart woman. Dad, would you like to have dinner with us? I mean, if you're not busy. I'm not busy. I'd like that. 3 weeks later, I sat across a dinner table from my son and his girlfriend. Hunter wore his work clothes, jeans, boots, company shirt with his name embroidered on it. He looked tired but satisfied. Mr. Stone, Sarah said, Hunter talks about you all the time. He's so proud of what you taught him. What did I teach him? That work isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something to take pride in. Hunter nodded. Dad, I know it took me too long to understand, but I get it now. You weren't just supporting us, you were showing us how to be a man. I looked at my son, really looked at him. The arrogance was gone. The entitlement had been replaced with something solid, something real. Hunter, I said, you want to know something? What? I'm proud of you. His eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? Not because of what you do, because of who you've become. Today, I have the family I always wanted. Not perfect, but real. Based on respect instead of obligation. Built on understanding instead of assumption. Brooke calls every Sunday. Hunter stops by every couple of weeks. We talk about work, about life, about plans for the future. Sometimes they ask for advice about money, about investments, about making smart choices. Not because they want my money, but because they respect my judgment. That's what I'd been waiting for all along. Not gratitude, not worship, just respect. The phone calls from Madison stopped about a year after the divorce. The last one came on a Tuesday evening in March 2025. Cooper, I'm moving to Florida. My sister found me a job down there. That's good, Madison. Fresh start. I wanted to apologize for everything. I waited. I know you probably don't believe me, but I really didn't know about the properties, about the money. Madison, you didn't know because you never asked. I should have asked. You should have. But more than that, you should have trusted me. You should have believed I was capable of more than you gave me credit for. I know that now. Now that it cost you $1.6 million to learn it. She was quiet for a long moment. Cooper, do you think we could have made it work? If I'd been different? I thought about the question, really thought about it. Madison, you spent 36 years married to a man you didn't respect. You had an affair because you thought I was boring and unsuccessful. You planned a divorce because you thought I was poor. Even if you'd known about the properties, would that have changed how you felt about me? Or would you just have wanted to stay for the money? I don't know. I do. You'd have stayed for the money. And I'd rather be alone with my self-respect than married to someone who only values my bank account. The kids love you, Cooper. Really love you. They talk about you all the time. I love them too. That's why I let them figure out how to earn my respect instead of just giving it away for free. You're a good father. I'm a father who learned the difference between providing and enabling. Took me 62 years to figure that out, but I got there eventually. I hope Florida works out for you, Madison. I really do. Thank you. Cooper? Yeah? Take care of yourself. That was the last time we spoke. 6 months later, Brooke called with news. Dad, I'm engaged. Congratulations. Tell me about him. His name is Marcus. He's a carpenter, builds custom furniture. What do you like about him? He works with his hands. He builds things that last. He reminds me of you. That might have been the best compliment I ever received. When's the wedding? Next spring. Dad, I want you to walk me down the aisle. I'd be honored. And Dad, Marcus wants to ask you something himself. Ask me what? For permission. Old-fashioned, I know, but he insists. 2 weeks later, Marcus knocked on my door. Solid handshake, looked me in the eye, wore work clothes because he'd come straight from a job site. Mr. Stone, I'd like to marry your daughter. What makes you think you're good enough for her? He smiled. I don't know if I am, but I promise I'll spend every day trying to be. What do you do for work? Custom carpentry. Built my business from nothing over the past 8 years. Make good money? Enough. We won't be rich, but we'll never be hungry. Brooke's used to a certain lifestyle. Brooke's learned to appreciate what matters. She told me about the retirement party, about how she treated you. She's not that person anymore. I studied this young man. Calloused hands, honest eyes, confidence without arrogance. You have my blessing. Thank you, sir. Marcus, can I ask you something? Anything. What did Brooke tell you about me? She said you were the strongest man she knows. She said you taught her that respect isn't given, it's earned. She said she spent years being ashamed of who you were, and now she's ashamed it took her so long to see who you really are. The wedding was beautiful. Small ceremony in a park pavilion. Hunter stood as my usher. Sarah was Brooke's maid of honor. When the minister asked who gives this woman to be married, I said, her father, who loves her and is proud of the woman she's become. Brooke cried. So did I. At the reception, Hunter gave a speech. Most of you know my dad as Cooper Stone, the guy who kept Peterson Manufacturing running for 36 years. But I know him as the man who taught me the most important lesson of my life, that a man's worth isn't measured by his title or his office. It's measured by his character and his work ethic. He raised his glass. Dad, thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for letting us learn the hard way. Thank you for showing us what a real man looks like. The applause was warm, genuine. These weren't people impressed by money or status. They were people who understood value when they saw it. After the reception, as I was cleaning up, Sarah approached me. Mr. Stone, can I tell you something? Of course. Hunter talks about you differently now than when I first met him. How so? When I first met him, he talked about you like you were this mysterious figure who surprised everyone with secret wealth. Now he talks about you like you're his hero. What changed? He realized that the money wasn't the impressive part. The impressive part was 36 years of quiet dignity, 18 years of patient planning, raising a family that took decades to appreciate what they had. I nodded. Sarah, can I ask you something? Anything. What do you think about a 62-year-old electrician for a father-in-law? She smiled. I think my children are going to be very lucky to have him as a grandfather. That night, I sat on my back deck with a beer, watching the sunset over Milwaukee. My phone showed 3 text messages. From Brooke. Thank you for the best day of my life. I love you, Dad. From Hunter. Proud to be your son. From Marcus. Thank you for raising the woman I love. I thought about the journey that brought me here. 36 years of overtime, 18 years of secret investing, one retirement party that changed everything. The divorce had cost Madison everything she didn't know she had, but it had given me something more valuable than money. A family that chose to respect me instead of being obligated to pretend they did. My rental income statement for the month showed the usual $9,800 deposit. But that wasn't the real measure of my wealth anymore. The real wealth was knowing that when my son introduces me to people, he says, "This is my dad, he's an electrician, and he's the hardest working man I know." The real wealth was watching my daughter marry a man who reminds her of her father, and meaning it as a compliment. The real wealth was understanding finally that providing for people isn't the same as earning their respect. You can't give someone respect for you. They have to find it themselves. Tomorrow, Hunter starts his journey toward becoming a master electrician. Brooke and Marcus are looking at houses. Sarah is talking about nursing school, and I'm planning my next property purchase. Not because I need the income, but because I enjoy the work, because building something lasting gives me purpose. Sometimes quiet people aren't weak. Sometimes we're just choosing our battles carefully, waiting for the right moment to show the world what we're really made of. If you're watching this story, let me tell you what I learned from 62 years of life, 36 years of marriage, and one retirement party that changed everything. First lesson: never let anyone convince you that honest work isn't valuable work. For 36 years, people looked at my job and saw limitation. I looked at my job and saw opportunity. While they were embarrassed by my work boots, I was building an empire one overtime shift at a time. The world is full of people who think success has to look a certain way: college degree, corner office, expensive suit. But some of the most successful people I know are the ones who understand that money doesn't care where it comes from. It only cares that you're smart enough to keep it and wise enough to grow it. Second lesson: family respect isn't automatic. It's earned through consistent action over time. I spent decades thinking that providing for my family was enough: food on the table, roof over their heads, money for their dreams. But provision isn't the same as respect. Your children don't owe you gratitude for doing your job as a parent, but you don't owe them support for taking your sacrifices for granted. Love them enough to let them learn what you're really worth instead of just telling them. Third lesson: sometimes the people closest to you are the last to see your value. My tenants respected me more than my own family did. Strangers at my retirement party understood my worth better than my wife and children. That's not unusual. It's human nature. We take for granted what we see every day. The reliable provider becomes invisible. The steady paycheck becomes expected. The sacrifice becomes routine. But here's the thing about being undervalued: it's only a problem if you start believing it yourself. I knew what I was worth. I knew what I'd built. Their opinion of me was about them, not about me. Fourth lesson: money talks, but wealth whispers. I could have bought flashy cars, expensive clothes, shown off my success. Instead, I drove an old truck and wore work clothes and let my family assume I was struggling. Some people might say I should have been more open about my investments. Maybe, but I learned something valuable by staying quiet. I learned who my family really was. I learned what they really thought of me. And I learned that their love was conditional on their perception of my success. Better to know the truth than live with a comfortable lie. Fifth lesson: revenge isn't about punishment, it's about consequences. I didn't set out to hurt my family. I set out to show them the truth about themselves and about me. Madison got exactly what she asked for: a divorce from a man she thought was a failure. Hunter and Brooke got exactly what they wanted: freedom from a father they were embarrassed by. The fact that the truth was different from their assumptions, that was their lesson to learn, not my burden to carry. Sixth lesson: real change takes time. When my family realized their mistake, they wanted immediate forgiveness. They wanted instant reconciliation. They wanted me to pretend the years of disrespect never happened. But respect isn't a switch you can flip. Trust isn't a gift you can wrap. Character isn't a speech you can give. It took Hunter 2 years to earn back my respect. It took Brooke 18 months to prove she understood what she'd lost. It took Madison never did figure it out. Some relationships can be rebuilt. Others are just finished. Learning the difference is part of growing up. Final lesson: quiet strength beats loud weakness every time. For 36 years, I kept my head down, did my work, built my future. While my family was making noise about my limitations, I was quietly exceeding them. The retirement party wasn't my victory. It was just the moment my victory became visible. The real victory was every year I added another property. Every month I banked rental income. Every day I chose long-term wealth over short-term approval. The real victory was raising children who eventually learned to respect work, even though it took them 30 years to get there. The real victory was understanding that my worth isn't determined by other people's opinions, even when those people are my own family. Today, I'm 62 years old and retired. I own 8 properties worth $1.6 million. I generate $9,800 a month in passive income. I have a son who works with his hands and takes pride in honest labor. I have a daughter who built her own business with her own savings. I have a son-in-law who asked my permission before proposing because he understands respect. But more than that, I have peace. I sleep well at night knowing that everything I have, I earned. Everyone who respects me now, I earned that too. Madison is in Florida, probably telling her new friends about her ex-husband who surprised everyone by being secretly wealthy. She still doesn't understand that the money wasn't the surprise. The surprise was that she spent 36 years married to a man she never really knew. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you're the person who works hard while everyone else complains, if you're building something while others are spending everything, if you're undervalued by people who should know better, let me tell you something important. Your time is coming. Keep building, keep working, keep planning. Stay quiet about your progress and loud about your standards. The day will come when the people who took you for granted realize what they had. Some of them will earn their way back into your life. Others won't. Either way, you'll be fine, because you'll have built something that doesn't depend on their approval. Subscribe if this story resonated with you. Let me know where you're watching from. And remember, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting ahead. Sometimes quiet people aren't weak people. Sometimes we're just getting ready to be louder than anyone expected. And when we finally speak up, the world listens. Trust the process. Honor your work. Build your wealth. Protect your peace. Your time is coming.